Captain Dara Torres felt her heart race as the small exploration vessel Asterion slipped into orbit around Valoria. Through the viewport, she watched pale green light dance across cloud-choked skies, and she pressed her hand against the cool metal of the cabin wall, trying to steady her breath. She remembered the moment Earth first learned of this world, a distant speck flagged by an old telescope, hiding beneath layers of swirling mist. Now she saw it in living color, moorland forests, floating like islands above an endless sea of clouds, glowing softly in the planet's dawn. Every sensor reading pointed to the same truth. Valoria was alive in ways humans had never imagined. Dara climbed into her pilot suit and ran a final systems check. Around her, the bridge hummed with anticipation. Lieutenant Mara Chen tapped at holo controls, her brow furrowed in concentration, while Science Officer Dr. Elijah Kwan peered at the data streams pouring in from the ship's scanners. Dara offered them a firm nod. "We go down in 30, she said, her voice steady despite the thrill knotted in her chest. For months, she and her crew had prepared for this moment, training in xenobiology, practicing first contact protocols, drilling for emergencies. They knew the stakes. This mission could open a new chapter in human history, proof that humanity could reach across the void and find life that was not hostile, but wondrous. When the drop shuttle carved through Valoria's mist, Dara caught her first glimpse of the bioluminescent canopy below, vines threaded through tall, translucent trunks, pulsing with gentle blue light. Strange flowers unfurled in spirals, like delicate lanterns, and a soft hum, almost musical, filled the air. Dara's breath caught. She wanted to speak, but no words came. Instead, she lifted a gloved hand and let her fingers brush the shuttle's window, as if she could somehow touch the living world beyond. The hum grew stronger, almost welcoming. As the shuttle touched down on firm ground, Dara felt the soft give of moss under her boots. She opened her mask and inhaled. The air tasted sweet, with hints of spice and something entirely new, an aroma she would spend years analyzing. She glanced at her crew. Mara's wide eyes reflected pure wonder, while Elijah's excited chatter buzzed through the comlink. As he recorded every detail, Dara smiled, feeling warmth spread through her. In that moment, she knew why she had chosen this life: to stand at the edge of the unknown and reach forward with hope. Stepping off the shuttle, Dara activated her translator device and spoke in measured tones. "We come in peace. We wish to learn." Her words felt small against the vast silence of the forest, yet she believed they carried the weight of all humanity's dreams. The bioluminescent vines shifted slightly, as if responding to her greeting. At her side, Mara placed a small crystalline orb on the ground, a gift of light from Earth, meant to symbolize friendship. Dara watched intently, her chest tight with expectation. Then, as they stood together in the glowing grove, Dara sensed movement beyond the vines. Shapes emerged, tall, graceful figures with silvery skin that shimmered in the biolight. Their eyes glowed like polished gems. Dara's heart pounded. This was the moment she had trained for. Yet nothing in simulations had prepared her for the quiet grace these beings carried. She held her breath, lifting a hand in greeting. The creatures paused, their heads tilting in unison, as if weighing her gesture in that silent exchange. Dara felt a bridge form between two species. She understood in a flash of clarity that this encounter would define not only her life, but the future of all humankind. As the first alien stepped forward, curiosity shining in crystalline eyes, Dara straightened her shoulders. She was ready. For all the challenges ahead, she would meet them with courage, empathy, and the belief that in the heart of every unknown world, humanity could find its brightest light. Captain Dara Torres stood rooted as the first Varalian elder stepped into the glow of the bioluminescent grove. The figure was tall and slender, her silver skin reflecting soft blues and greens like liquid moonlight. Her eyes shone crystalline, curious but calm. Dara's translator hummed softly at her chest, ready to turn thoughts into words. Dara swallowed hard, feeling her pulse race with excitement and nervous hope. She lifted her hands slowly, palm open. The Varalian lifted her own hand in response, their fingertips nearly touching across worlds of difference. "Lieutenant Mara Chen," broke the hush by placing a small recorder on a nearby root. She whispered into her comlink, recording first contact, stabilized audio and video. Dara nodded, grateful for the technology that would carry this moment to Earth. She spoke, again into the translator in clear, simple tones. "We honor your home. We wish to learn your ways." The device blinked, then repeated her words in soft, musical tones that filled the grove. The Viralian elder tilted her head, as if tasting the strange sounds. Then she stepped closer, her presence gentle but assured. She bent to survey the wooden orb that Mara had placed earlier. Dara felt her chest tighten when the elder reached out, her long fingers hovering over the gift. The light orb pulsed once, acknowledging the touch. The elder lifted it with care and held it before her heart. In that silent gesture, Dara understood. The Viralian word for friend. Science Officer Dr. Elijah Kwan risked a smile. He whispered, "It works." She understands the gift. Dara allowed herself a small grin. She watched the elder turn to her crew, raising the orb high so that its glow bathed them all. The vines around them seemed to lean in, as though welcoming this exchange. Dara felt an overwhelming surge of wonder and relief. This was the breakthrough they had prepared for. Then a low chime sounded from Dara's Suta, message from Earth. She tapped her comlink and heard the excited voice of Commander Ruiz. "Dara, congratulations. We're all watching. Proceed with caution, but know you carry our hopes." Dara's throat tightened. She gave a reassuring nod and whispered into the translator, "Your people honor us by meeting. We'll respect your laws and learn your story." The elder's eyes softened, and she raised 3 fingers of Viralian. Sign of peace. A gentle breeze stirred the glowing vines as the elder led Dara and her crew deeper into the forest clearing. Each step revealed wonders. Luminescent flowers that opened and closed like breathing hearts. Vines that hummed in harmony, and floating motes of light that danced around them. Dara felt like she had entered a living dream. She held back questions, wanting to absorb every detail. Each breath tasted of new spices and promise. At the center of the clearing, a circle of smooth stones formed an ancient meeting place. The elder gestured for Dara to sit. With a slight bow, Dara complied, coming to rest beside the Viralian. Mara and Elijah mirrored her position on the other stones. Dara saw the elder retrieve a small pouch from her robe. She drew out pale blue seeds that glimmered like stars. Holding one aloft, the elder offered it to Dara. Dara felt a flush of awe and gratitude. She took the seed and placed it gently in her palm. The translator whispered the word, "Trust." Dara closed her fist slowly, feeling warmth spread through her. She looked up into the elder's shining eyes and smiled. In that moment, she felt the fragile beginnings of a bond that could unite 2 worlds. The grove pulsed with energy, as if celebrating the moment. Dara knew that from here there, journey together would change everything for humanity and for the Viralians. Captain Dara Torres stood at the heart of the glowing grove on the night of the Harvest Moon Festival. Her breath catching in her throat as the bioluminescent petals overhead unfurled like living lanterns. Around her, Viralian citizens moved. In soft, rhythmic steps, their silvery robes whispering against the mossy floor. The air pulsed with gentle music, a chorus of humming vines and distant chimes that rose and fell like ocean waves. Dara's pulse echoed that rhythm as Lady Soreth, the youngest member of the Viralian Council of Elders, approached. Crystalline eyes reflected the violet glow, and her slender hand reached out, inviting Dara to join in the ancient ritual. Dara's heart thundered, but she lifted her chin and stepped forward, determined to show trust and friendship. The circle of stones before them was carved from pale marble-like rock, etched with spirals that told Valoria's story, emergence, from mist unity with life and the binding of souls. Soreth took a seed from the pouch she bore at her waist, one gifted to Dara days earlier, and placed it gently in Dara's palm. Dara felt a warmth bloom beneath her glove as she held the seed, a warmth that spread through her bones like sunlight. Soreth's voice chimed softly through Dara's translator. "Our bond grows." The words sounded musical, each syllable a petal unfolding. Dara nodded, her own voice steady, though her heart fluttered. May our friendship light both our peoples' paths. A hush fell as every Varelian in the grove turned toward them, their glowing eyes shining with expectation. Dara swallowed against sudden nerves. She felt Sarith's hand brush her wrist, a touch that spoke of kindness and curiosity. Then, in a gesture of perfect symmetry, Sarith placed her free hand at Dara's cheek. The touch was cool and tender, like moonlight on water. Dara closed her eyes, breathing in the sweet foreign scent of the grove, honeyed spice and fresh rain. She raised her hand to rest over Sarith's calf, a simple move of respect. The translator whispered a Varelian word into her ear, chosen. As the festival's melody swelled, Sorith leaned forward. Dara felt time slow, notes hanging in the air like stars. Their lips met in a gentle ceremonial kiss, soft as a brush of silk, light as a falling petal. In that instant, a ripple of energy pulsed through the grove. The vines above shimmered brighter, and bioluminescent motes swirled around them, painting arcs of pale blue light. Dara's world narrowed to the press of Sorith's lips and the warmth that bloomed in her chest. Her eyes fluttered open to see tears of awe in Sorith's crystalline gaze. When they parted, Dara saw not fear, but joy on every Varelian face. Their own translator repeated the words for the gathered crowd. This union honors both worlds. A cheer rose, soft and melodic, rising to the vaulted canopy of glowing leaves. Dara felt tears prick her own eyes. She bowed deeply, and Sori through her motion. The grove's light pulsed in harmony with their hearts.
Now, Dara,
heard Mara's quiet voice through her comlink. They accept you. They accept us.
Dara's
Smile trembled with emotion as Sorith guided her to the circle's center. The Varelians began to sing a wordless song of welcome that seemed older than memory. Dara closed her eyes and let the music fill her. For the first time in her life, she felt truly seen, not as an explorer or a stranger, but as a bridge between two worlds. A warmth, deeper than the grove's glow, spread through her. She thought of Earth, of the millions who watched from distant screens. And she realized this moment carried their hopes as well. When the song ended, Dara opened her eyes to find Sorith's hand in hers, their fingers entwined. The seed in Dara's palm glowed softly, pulsing in time with her heartbeat. Around them, the festival continued, dancing lights, gentle laughter, and the soft hum of life, celebrating life. Dara felt a surge of certainty. This kiss was more than tradition. It was a promise. A promise that humanity and Valoria would grow together, sharing dreams, knowledge, and hope. And as the harvest moon rose full and bright overhead, Dara knew that nothing would ever be the same again. Captain Dara Torres floated above the Valorian newsfeed in the Asterian's cum room, her heart still warm from the Harvest Moon Festival. Across every holoscreen, images of her and Lady Sarith's ceremonial kiss glowed in living color. News anchors spoke in hurried tones, calling it the miracle union and proof of humanity's true spirit. Dara watched as millions of viewers sent messages of hope and wonder. She reached out and touched the screen as if she could feel their excitement across the void. Science Officer Elijah Kwan turned from his console, a broad smile on his face. Captain, viewership is off the charts. They love it. His voice trembled with delight. Lieutenant Mara Chen leaned forward in her chair. The United Planet Council already scheduled a special session to discuss interspecies policy. Dara nodded, feeling equal parts pride and apprehension. She had dreamed of peaceful first contact, but she had never imagined the weight of expectation now resting on her shoulders. That evening, Dara and Sorith met in the grove's soft glow once more. The vines hummed a gentle welcome, and the hanging lantern flowers drifted like slow fire sparks above them. Sarith's crystalline eyes reflected Dara's own emotions: joy, wonder, and a hint of worry. Dara offered her hand. "Your world and mine will change," she said simply. Sorith squeezed her fingers. "Together, we will guide that change." Back on Valoria's main commune, the Council of Elders gathered in carved stone chambers overhead. Elder Valish, a tall figure with deep-set eyes, spoke in low tones that rippled like distant thunder. "This bond is destined," he declared. "But we must guard our traditions, and all may accept a human's place in our ancient rites." Soreth listened, her face calm. But Dara watched the elder's furrowed brow and felt the first shadows of doubt. On Earth, reactions were just as varied. Some leaders hailed the Union as the dawn of a new galactic age. Others cautioned against moving too fast. A senator on the United Planet Council warned in a public statement, "We must respect Valoria's culture. We cannot impose human laws on another world." Dara read the transcript on her datapad, her chest tightening. She understood that caution humanity's history was not without mistakes. She whispered to Soreth, "We must show them how to hope, not fear." To bridge this gap, Dara organized a joint human-Varalian lecture series in the botanical halls of Valoria's greatest library. Each session featured Earth's brightest scientists alongside Varalia's wisest scholars. Dara watched as human engineers explained sustainable energy, while Varalian botanists revealed the secrets of bioluminescent flora. The audience filled every seat, eager to learn both the technical details and the stories behind each discovery. Dara felt tears prick her eyes when a young Varelian child whispered, "Your people's light will blend with ours." As the day of the United Planet Council session arrived, Dara and Soreth prepared together. Dara donned her formal uniform, its crisp lines mirroring her commitment. Soreth wore robes woven from silver threads that shimmered like moonlight on water. They stood side by side before the assembly of council members, representatives from dozens of worlds, their faces a tapestry of shapes and colors. Dara's voice rang out clear. "We come not to conquer, but to embrace. Our bond is proof that empathy can cross any boundary." Soft murmurs filled the chamber, and then Elder Valish rose. He swept his robes back and spoke in measured tones. "We, the Council of Valoria, endorse this union. Our worlds will learn from each other, share knowledge, and grow stronger together." A swell of applause rose, echoing through the vaulted hall. Dara felt her heart soar. She glanced at Soreth, whose eyes shone with pride and relief. Later, under the pale light of Valoria's twin moons, Dara walked hand in hand with Soreth along the forest's edge. The bioluminescent vines glowed brighter than ever, as though celebrating this victory of unity. Dara paused and looked at her partner. "We have started something new," she said softly. Soreth nodded, her smile luminous. "A future born of trust," she replied. Dara breathed deeply, savoring the sweet, spice-scented air. She thought of Earth, of the people watching above the clouds, and she knew that this moment would mark the beginning of a new chapter in human history. Together, they had turned an interspecies kiss into a promise of peace. And as the vines pulsed around them, Dara felt certain that at last, humanity's brightest light had found its true home among the stars. Captain Dara Torres woke to urgent buzzes on her comlink. Reports had come in overnight. A fast-spreading blight was killing the glowing vines and lantern flowers in a distant Valoria forest. For the Varelians, those plants were more than decoration. They were the heartbeats of their world. Panic rippled through the commune, as storied elders warned that without swift action, the festival's magic could fade forever. On Earth, skeptical voices seized the moment. "Is it wise to trust these aliens?" they asked. "Shouldn't we quarantine the planet?" Doubt gnawed at Dara's confidence. She pressed a hand to her chest, steadying her breath. This was the trial she feared, showing both worlds how empathy and cooperation could save lives. Soreth stood at Dara's side in the command tent, her crystalline eyes misted with worry. "These plants are our bridge," she said quietly. "If they die, our peoples lose hope." Dara nodded. She felt Soreth's hand slide into hers, a touch that filled her with warmth and resolve. Together, they devised a plan, a joint human-Varelian medical expedition to the blighted forest. Scientists, botanists, and healers from both species would work side by side. Dara watched the team assemble, human biologists in white coats, Varelian herbalists in flowing robes, and engineers carrying delicate sensors. She saw fear in some faces, but she also saw determination. The shuttle's engines roared as it lifted. off toward the misted forest. Through the viewport, Dara saw vines that once glowed bright blue, now sagged like tired arms, their petals shriveled and dull. Lantern flowers hung limp, and motes of light flickered and died. Dara's heart clenched. She remembered the first time she walked among these living lights, and she felt a surge of guilt that humanity had not known of Valoria's fragility sooner. She turned to Sorith and whispered, "We can save them." Sorith squeezed. Her hand and Dara drew strength from that silent promise. On the forest floor, human and Varelian scientists spread out. Dara guided them, mapping severity zones with her tablet. Dr. Elijah Kwan studied spore samples under a hollow microscope while Varelian botanist Elder Sivan traced patterns in the disease's spread. Mara Chen coordinated drone flights to measure light levels. Despite cultural differences, humans speaking briskly, Varelians pausing to honor each plant, everyone moved with one goal: heal the forest. Dara knelt beside a dying vine and placed a gentle hand on its trunk. She offered a whispered plea. "Grow again." A single modal spore drifted down and settled on her glove. A Sorith saw it and murmured, "See, the forest trusts you." Long hours of work, dawn found the team huddled around a glowing lagoon where the worst blight had taken hold. Dara and Sorith stood together as the bioluminescent waters pulsed faintly. With human biotech injections and Varelian herbal compounds, they applied a healing serum to the roots. The liquid glowed emerald as it seeped into the ground. Dara held her breath. Moments passed in silence. Then the lagoon's surface shimmered, and faint ripples spread outward. The vines above began to glow once more, first softly, then brighter, until the entire grove thrummed with light. A cheer rose soft at first, then triumphant, as human scientists clapped Varelian healers on the back, and the Varelians bowed in gratitude. Dara felt tears blur her vision. Around her, the restored vines hummed in harmony, and lantern flowers reopened like hopeful hearts. Sorith leaned close, pressing her cheek to Dara's. "You have brought life back," she whispered. Dara shook, her head voice-choked. "We did it together." In that moment, she saw messages flood both planets. Hope restoring faith, unity triumphing over doubt. Dara knew that through this trial, the bond forged by their kiss had become more than symbolic. It was a living promise to guide two worlds forward, hand in hand. Captain Dara Torres felt a new kind of excitement as the Asterian slipped back into Earth's orbit, carrying her and Lady Sorith toward the world that had watched their union with bated breath. Through the shuttle's viewport, Dara saw the blue-green globe of Earth shining against the black of space, dotted with bright city lights and soft swirls of cloud. She reached out to squeeze Sorith's hand, and the Varelian's crystalline eyes shone with wonder. Neither of them spoke at first. Words felt small compared to the moment, but Dara's heart raced with hope when they stepped onto the bustling spaceport. Dara led Sora through crowds of reporters, diplomats, and well-wishers, human children. Eyes wide with amazement, reached out to touch Sorith's silver robes, and she smiled gently, offering a silent greeting that made the children giggle with delight. Dara stopped to embrace an old friend, Ambassador Reyes, who whispered, "You changed history, my friend." Dara smiled, her throat tight with emotion. She guided Sorith up the steps to the Grand Hall, where the United Planet Council awaited them. Inside the dome-shaped chamber, council members from dozens of worlds sat in soft light, their faces as diverse as the stars. Dara straightened her uniform and looked across at Sorith, whose flowing silver robes seemed to glow under the council's lights. When the time came, Dara spoke first. Her voice echoed through the hall, but felt gentle, like a quiet promise. "We come as two beings from different worlds, joined by trust and love. Our bond is proof that compassion can cross any boundary." She paused, letting her words settle, and then Sorith stepped forward. Through the translator, her voice was soft and melodic. "In our kiss, we pledged unity. Today, we offer that unity to all who wish to walk with us into a brighter future." A hush fell over the room, broken only by the soft hum of the translator devices. Then one by one, representatives rose to applaud. Some stood with tears in their eyes. Others bowed in deep respect. Dara felt a swell of pride and relief. She glanced at Sorith, whose hand found hers beneath the podium. In that quiet touch, they shared the promise of two peoples building. Shared tomorrow, after the council session, packed news crews guided Dara and Sorith through busy streets of New Geneva. Bright banners proclaimed welcome, bridge between worlds. People cheered as they passed. Dara noticed how Sorith paused to touch the leaves of a street tree, marveling at how different yet familiar Earth's forests were compared to Valoria's bioluminescent groves. Dara smiled at the sight of wonder on her partner's face and felt a warm pride that their worlds could now learn from each other. That evening, Dara and Sorith stood together on a balcony overlooking a park lit by soft lamps. They spoke of their dreams, a shared academy where human and Varalian scholars would learn side by side, interspecies cultural exchange program, and joint missions to explore other worlds. Sorith traced patterns in the air, describing how Valorians wove knowledge into living art. And Dara explained how human creativity turned simple ideas into powerful inventions. They laughed and planned, their voices bright against the night. Sky-dot as they talked, Dara felt a deep peace settle in her chest. The journey here had not been easy. There were doubts, fears, and many questions to answer. But now, hand in hand with Sorith, Dara saw how far they had come. The barriers between their species had begun to melt, replaced by curiosity, respect, and hope. In Sorith's gentle smile, Dara saw the promise of many adventures still to come. When they returned to the Asterion for the trip back to Valoria,
That's great deal.
Dara looked at Earth's glowing continents one last time. She whispered softly, "We will bring this hope home." Sorith leaned against her shoulder and replied, "Together, we will light the way." And as the shuttle lifted off, leaving Earth behind, Dara felt a powerful certainty that through partnership and open hearts, humanity could truly shine among the stars. Captain Dara Torres returned to Valoria with a racing heart as the shuttle descended through familiar mist. Below, the bioluminescent groves glowed brighter than ever, like beacons guiding them home. Beside her, Lady Sorith watched the floating forests with a gentle smile, her crystalline eyes reflecting the green-blue light. Dara pressed her hand to the viewport, remembering every step that had brought them here, from that first cautious greeting to the kiss under the harvest moon. She felt a rush of pride and humility. They had changed to worlds forever, and now the real work would begin. When the shuttle doors opened, a crowd of humans and Varelians cheered. They wore robes and uniforms, woven with half-silver thread and half-blue cloth, the colors of their new alliance. Children waved lantern seeds that glowed softly in their palms. Dara and Sorith stepped down together, hands linked, and waved back. Dara's throat tightened with emotion as she saw flags bearing both human and Varalian symbols. In that moment, she knew hope had taken root. A short walk led them to the foundations of the Unity Academy, built on the edge of the glowing grove. Construction drones hummed overhead, placing curved panels of glass and pale stone. Earth and Valoria worked side by side, laying bricks and planting the first gardens. Dara watched a young human girl show a Varalian boy how to tie knots in fiber cables, and an older Varalian scholar teaching a human botanist how to read vine patterns. The scene filled her with warmth. This was the living promise of their bond, a place where two species learned and grew together. Inside the Academy's main hall, Dara and Sorith were greeted by the first cohort of teachers. Human engineers, Varalian artists, earth poets, and Valorian philosophers filled the room with chatter and laughter. Sorith led Dara to a carved dais, where a single seed pulsed with soft light in a glass case, the union seed, a symbol of their promise. Dara took a deep breath and spoke into the hall's quiet hush. "This seed reminds us that life needs care to grow. May we honor it by sharing our best knowledge and our kindest hearts." Sorith placed her hand over Dara's and added, "Let our unity shine as brightly as our forests, and may it inspire the stars beyond." As the ceremony ended, the crowd moved outside to release lantern seeds into the sky. Each seed carried a wish for peace, for friendship, for discovery. Dara and Sorith held theirs together before letting the glowing motes drift upward. The lanterns rose through the floating forests and vanished into the mist, leaving trails of pale light that lingered like dreams. Dara squeezed Sarith's hand and whispered, "Every seed is a promise." Sarith nodded, her eyes bright. Every promise is a path. That evening, Dara and Sorith walked beneath the glowing canopy, now rich with new life. The vines hummed a gentle melody, and lantern flowers drifted around them like living fireflies. Dara paused and looked up, breathing in the sweet, spice-tinged air. She thought of Earth, of the many lives touched by their journey. She thought of the Academy's future students who would learn to see beyond boundaries. Turning to Sorith, she said, "I never imagined a simple kiss could grow such change." Sorith smiled and placed her hand on Dara's cheek. "Love and trust can move stars," she replied softly as dawn approached. The first light of Valoria's sun filtered through the mist, painting the world in soft gold. Dara leaned into Sorith's warmth and felt peace settle in her chest. The path ahead would hold challenges, new questions, new discoveries, and new decisions. But they would face them together, as partners, as chosen mates, and as bridges between worlds. And in their hearts, they carried the glow of two homeworlds, burning brightly with possibility.